Hi, welcome everyone. Welcome to all of our ministers, community, invited guests. It's going to be a real celebration tonight. There's Ricky. Hi, Ricky. Tonight's going to be a musical extravaganza. You're going to hear some just amazing music. It's going to be a huge collaboration, which we've had for many, many years. We've had the collaborations, and when I saw this movie, it's called The Greatest Night in Pop. That is the name of the movie. It's a documentary, The Greatest Night in Pop. Just came out. It's actually on Netflix too. And I thought, this is a great teaching movie. This is a great movie for really starting to see how the Spirit orchestrates everything for joy. And so the premise of the movie, you'll see 47 of the most legendary, greatest singers in the United States. Remember, this is like mid-80s. This is around 1985. So you're going to see, Kim Carnes, and you're going to see all the people, Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson, and all the ones that were really hot, Bruce Springsteen, the Boss, and all that. Plus, you're going to see some legendary performers that, like Bob Dylan, Smokey Robinson. Some of you might remember Smokey Robinson was with a group called The Miracles. Smokey Robinson and The Miracles from way back. Diana Ross. I mean, we're going to see 47 of the greatest singers in history coming together in one room on one long, long night. And Quincy Jones, probably one of the greatest producers in history, he's going to be part of the orchestrator, the kind of the orchestra leader, with telling a technician to put a sign up before they get there, leave your egos at the door. You imagine telling Cyndi Lauper, leave your ego at the door. It's just an amazing situation, because I feel like this movie, Jesus can really use it to show us insights how to really get into the joy of the miracle. Because these musicians are already into their calling. They're already into the joy, And these musicians, a lot of them got called. Dionne Warwick, she's like, I don't know what Quincy's even doing there, but I'm on tour. I'm down in Vegas, and he's calling me up. I'll come up for one night. I don't even know what it is, but I'll come because it's Quincy. If Quincy asks me, I'll be there. And then you have Bruce Springsteen's doing a whole tour across the United States, born in the USA, and then he's flying in there, coming off of a huge tour, so his voice is a little crackly, but Willie Nelson showing up, and then they start pairing up people based on their vocal range. So we have people like Dionne Warwick and Willie Nelson paired together, and you get all these amazing pairings, and you get to see people who are showing up for a purpose and a cause, and they are going to give it their all, and they have to face all of their judgments and all of the testiness as the night goes on. It starts in an evening, and then it rolls on all the way through the night for them to make this recording. This is an era, 1985, I think it was Bob Geldof had just done Band-Aid, which was basically a group of performers, and it's a very similar thing to raise money for Africa, because there was literally tens of thousands of children dying during these huge droughts, and this one is called. It's just a theme of raising money for the dying children in Ethiopia, and they will come together, and there's all kinds of nuances. So I will make comments throughout the movie just about collaboration, just about guidance, just about how the miracle works in action, where if the ego gets in there, you have to step aside from it in order to let the miracle come through you. The miracle cannot come through in any sense of doubt or fear, any sense of inferiority and superiority. And that's why I think Quincy said, put the sign up on the wall, leave your ego at the door, leave the egos at the door, because this is for him to pull off this thing and get everything he needs to produce a record to help the children in Africa. He knew he really had to kind of keep things on track. But with 47 of the greatest stars in American history from this era, they were the top names for sure, then basically there's going to be a lot of obstacles that they're going to have to face. So I thought it would be just a great evening of celebration. So I think what we'll do, we've got some songs queued up. I thought, let's listen to a few songs from the era and from that time, just to get in the mood. So this is the warm-up band songs. So it's like you're at a concert, and we're going to go through the warm-up band songs first, and then we'll move into the movie, and I will bring in the commentary as we come into the movie. And then stay there through the credits, because then we're going to have the full song at the end. Some of you know it, We Are the World. The full song at the end after the credits roll. And then I have a final song that Jesus told me this morning, don't forget this, you've got to put this in your queue. I said, okay, we will have a great extravaganza. So I see Diana there from Mexico City, your voice, she's been a voice teacher, a singer. Ricky's here with us. We have some musicians, we have ministers, we have people that are staying up in the wee hours over in Europe. I see Irma there. I had my friends too from Latvia, right next to. There they are. They're thrilled, and they're wow, that's amazing. Edwards and his wife, and she's a music teacher too. He's like, she's a music teacher. She's gonna love this. So yes. So, and we have my friend here from Germany via Africa. Where is Jackson? There's Jackson. So that's beautiful. That's beautiful synchronicity. Michael Jackson plays a big part in this movie too. So here's Jackson. So without any more delay, we're going to go right into our songs first, and then we're going to go right into the movie. And there's Bruce, too, from Salt Lake City. I just talked to Bruce a little while ago. Oldies but goodies. We're all connected, yes. Nani's there. She's got her love goggles on. Nani she was just going into a deep meditation and silence, and she broke that for us just to have a burst of joy here. And we'll send you off into the silence. That's beautiful. Okay, let's have some music to start up and get in the mood. So this is like a key in the miracle. You can see they weren't really sure who was going to write the song, and Stevie wasn't answering and coming back. So basically it was Michael and Lionel. And then you can see that even Michael Jackson wasn't sure he was going to write the song, he was going to sing. This is the part of collaboration where you have to just have a big yes in your heart, and you don't really know how anything is going to go. But you have to have that big yes in your heart. And this is what opens the space for the miracle. This is where the miracle comes in. You start to actually really experientially feel you have no control over the world. Look at this setup here. It's the A&M, it's the A&M recording studio. Michael Jackson's there, Quincy. They got engineered lighting there, but the rest, or most of them, are all over Lionel Richie and American Music Awards, and they're just, he's winning awards. He's hosting the event. He's saying earlier in the day, I hope I don't fall asleep. And this is all just the preliminaries to come together. Not well rested, some of them are going to have to fly in from planes all over, coming from tours. Bruce Springsteen's coming right off of a tour. They're just saying yes to something that they're just going to give their heart to, and then you let the Spirit orchestrate the rest. And you can see that even within this month, all these people said, yes, 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 I'll do it. And then they weren't even sure about the song, how it would be written, who would write it. And then, they're just actually doing the first recording of the song, and Stevie Wonder walks in and says, I'm ready, let's write the song. And you can see he's just jumping in, but he is all orchestrated by the Spirit. Literally the Spirit orchestrates the whole thing. Everybody plays their part perfectly. When Helen Schuckman, before she received A Course in Miracles, she received the instruction, people are being called from all over to take their part in a prearranged plan for the celestial speed up. That's what a research psychologist was told. People are being called from all over to accept their part, in a pre-arranged plan. Notice the pre-arranged. The script is written. This is all just orchestrated by the Spirit. Pre-arranged plan for the celestial speed up. So from the human perspective, it seems like you've got to walk right through it. You've got to walk into something. And for most artists, they like to practice, rehearse, and prepare. But these artists are coming together. The song has just come together, and they've had no rehearsal time whatsoever. And they're all just being thrown together. It's going to be about 47 of them into the A&M recording studio with no practice. And really, some of them, like Dionne Warwick, all she was told is, come here to Los Angeles. She wasn't even told what it was about, but she's like, okay, I'll go. Smokey Robinson, okay, hey, if it's Lionel, he's my buddy, I'll go. And that's so much of what the miracle is. We know, we've experienced that in our lives. We just show up and we have the willingness, and we really, really, really have to let go because we don't know the outcome. And that's what Jesus is really teaching us. He's basically saying, you cannot know the outcome which is best. Don't put your mind into the outcomes. Don't put your mind into the effects. What about all the practical things? Well, one thing in this world is finances. These 47 superstars are coming they're getting nothing from this. This is entirely voluntary. They're just showing up, entirely voluntary. The lighting guy, the cameraman, everything is entirely voluntary. They get a little cassette recording very shortly before they're to go into this scene, this setting, and so they have a little bit of an idea about it. But now is where we really get to see the close-up things of how the miracle really works. Because once they start coming in together, then you're going to see just the way that they interact is very much after they're kind of given the purpose, what this is about. Quincy, his Bob Geldof kind of give them purpose. And then they look like they're like 4-year-old children after they're given the purpose. Like, oh yeah, we're here for a very big purpose. And that's the way with all of us. We're here for a huge purpose, that everything we think and say and do teaches the whole universe. None of us were told we would ever have to do anything where everything we think and say and do teaches the whole universe. It's a crucible. It's a crucible of forgiveness. It's a crucible of healing. It's a crucible of letting go, of letting the Spirit show the way, of taking over your body, literally the puppet, taking over the puppet and using the puppet for a much, much greater purpose than any human being can conceive. And so we're going through that now, and here you're going to see these beautiful artists go through it too. And what an inspiration it is to see how they interact with each other and how when the ego starts to flare up, they have to back down. Also, there's musical artists I've followed. I've listened to tens of thousands of hours of the people on this in this movie that are going to be in this room. And yet, when you see them together, when the ego starts to come up, you can really sense the ones that have the presence of God in them because of their laughter, because of their lightness, because even in this situation where you have 47 people coming together, they are so tuned into the Spirit. You know, you'll get to see them. I'm not going to mention names because you're going to get to see them close up when they all come together and see the presence of God shining through their eyes and shining through their laughter. Oh, here we go. We're getting close to the point when they all have to come into the same room at the same time. And remember, they're not doing it on a full day's sleep, a full night's sleep. They've just been flying, coming from different parts of the country. They've been at the American Music Awards, dancing, singing, speaking, doing all these things. They're going to come together in this room all together, having spent the whole day doing other things, not just resting up. So it's not, you could say in the world sense, ideal conditions even. This is what makes it so spectacular. The miracle is about stepping aside and letting it come through you, even if you judge based on past learning that these are not ideal conditions. Far, far from ideal conditions. That's when you really can feel the presence of God coming through and the love just bursting through. Okay, here we go. So you see it's 11:32 at night. Imagine yourself going into this. 11:32, Bob Geldof has just given the purpose, and that's synonymous kind of with the Course in Miracles, the text section where Jesus calls it setting the goal. He says, you have to set the goal first, for everything will come from the goal that you set. And the purpose of setting the goal out front is to perceive everyone playing their part perfectly, regardless of what's happening. You then have a trust that something greater than a person or persons is there and is going to carry the whole thing along. So you could see how solemn their faces were. You could see Michael Jackson. It was just a moment of prayer, a moment of meditation, a moment of, why am I here? What is this for? What is this really for? That's the most obscure thing in this world, because everything's about outcomes. Everything's about achievements, connections, who's with who, all this crazy gossip stuff. It's all just a bunch of surface fluff, and the only way you can come through it is to keep coming back to what is it for, setting the goal. So as soon as the goal is set and they all feel what the purpose is, then they all come together. He has them sing the chorus that they're all going to be singing together, and then he begins with the instructions. But if you look at the clock there, it's like 11:31, 11:32. It's just the beginning of what will be an entire night of coming together to collaborate on one song, an entire night. And they haven't been resting all day. They've been doing all the things they're doing. So they're just coming together, and they really have to bring their focus, their attention together. And the other thing is keeping things on task. You know, we know that nobody seems to like deadlines, and yet this is a very time-specific, you could say, collaboration or assignment, a very, very, very time-specific. And when you have such a specific kind of time assignment, then that's when the tension can come up. The bright lights are very hot. They get hungry. You know, there's movies made of people that are stranded in a desert or confined in a room. These are people that are very accomplished at what they do, and yet they have to pray. They have to concentrate. You will see many temptations arise now in these things. One legend will come up with an idea that he thinks this is necessary for the song, and there are others in the room who are just like, what? How are we going to do that? We don't know Swahili. You can imagine, and yet who's going to, it was Stevie Wonder who's bringing it up, who's going to say no to Stevie Wonder? You know, these are the kind of things you have to, we're dealing with it in community. You're here for forgiveness, and you feel there's different opinions and different opposing goals that come up, and there's one goal that Jesus has, which is the miracle and forgiveness, and all other goals have to be laid aside. All sense of pride, all sense of fame, all sense of any kind of recognition, all kind of sense of having your own will. That's what this world is the belief you can have a will apart from God. This is a world of idols, and every single identity is part of that idolatry of denying God. And so you see in this room, just with the musicians, this is them coming together just to record one song, the parts for one song. It's going to be, I think this is a great teaching movie. I'm looking forward to spending these next hours with you to look at the nuances of how to choose the miracle in the face of the temptation to try to do something, make a decision on your own, make an autonomous decision. Because these are superstars in their own right, and they are, mega hits. They have huge amounts of followers. They aren't really looking for much from the world other than to stay on top, stay famous, stay successful. But here they're being called in a completely different purpose that has nothing to do with their careers. And that's the same with all of us that have been brought together. All of us watching this together have been called by God to the highest purpose that there is. And we know that the ego will try to throw obstacles in the way of achieving that purpose, of experiencing, of accepting that atonement, that correction, and it's going to throw everything to try to dissuade you from it. So here we go. Let's watch how Quincy and Lionel and the whole gang navigate this, because it's about 11:32, and they haven't even really begun all that they're going to go through. Now we're going to see a whole morning time with the backdrop of music for healing the mind. That's really what this is. So you can see, if Quincy's giving the instruction, if it's out of your range, just stop singing. And you can see Bob Dylan's face. Bob Dylan is legendary. He was a poet. A lot of these singers grew up listening to Dylan. And so it's almost like they were saying, I just kind of shook his hand and walked away because they're intimidated. But you can see on his face, he doesn't fit in. Has anybody here felt that they don't fit into this world? Does anybody relate to Bob Dylan's face? Here's Bob Dylan. He's philosophical. He's deep. He's a poet. He's done concerts all over the world, and he sings in his own style, and he doesn't seem to care what people even think of his style. He's got a very, very, very different style. And now he's in a room with 47, and you can see it on his face, like, do I fit in? And that's what you got to face on the spiritual journey. Do I fit in? Even in spiritual community, the thoughts about fitting in, will I fit in? Am I making the grade? All these are just ego thoughts. And all of them are to be released. That's the purpose of it all. If you move your body seemingly to another location and you still have these thoughts, then your mind goes with you wherever you go. And you can see with Dylan initially, he just is feeling a bit inadequate and uncomfortable. And of course, here they've zoomed in on his face to show us all right up close Bob Dylan's insecurity. But the beautiful thing is the Spirit has a way of carrying everything to the breakthrough. There will come a point in this movie, as we go much, much deeper into the night, where the Spirit will use just the right collaborations to bring that big smile on Bob's face, where he totally melts in the miracle. That's our purpose, is to bring that smile with whoever we meet in this world, wherever they are. If it could be in a cafe, it can be at a grocery store, a diner, it could be anywhere. It's to let go of the control of the situation, to be in the I don't know mind, but I am here to be truly helpful, to be so willing to just show up and to let the Spirit just come through you. That's what I liked about my travels around the United States and Canada for so many years, and then the world, because that's really where the rubber meets the road. You start to realize this isn't theological at all. This is not about religion. This is not about psychotherapy. This is not about anything but letting go and saying, Spirit, use me in this moment to bring joy. Bring joy. Bring the smile on the face. And we're going to see, even with Bob in this movie, you're going to see that smile crack open when he feels the love of God. And you will see it with a lot of them, because a lot of them, when things start to get testy, when there starts to be opinions shared, alternate versions of how the song should go, all kinds of things that could derail the whole project, you're going to notice some of them have just the biggest smile on their face, like they love being in the moment, and they don't really care about anything else except the love of the moment. And when I was watching this, it brought tears to my eyes just watching. In the middle of testy moments, you see these smiling faces, these glowing faces of the ones that are really not plugged in to the whole situation. They're totally above the battleground. They're totally beyond this world, and they're totally in their miracle working function, which actually isn't singing. For them, it's literally being the love, being the love of God, being the love of the Christ. That's really what this is all about. It's not about the form. It's not about even the skills and abilities. It's just about the love. So here we go. We get to really watch their faces close up as like a group in kindergarten. They start to navigate and practice really opening their hearts up and connecting. We call it add-ons. When you are collaborating for God and somebody comes up with an add-on, it doesn't even matter if it's Stevie Wonder. It doesn't matter what the add-on comes through, but when that add-on comes in, you could just see it on the looks of the faces of the people. And Waylon Jennings, a good old country boy, he's, I'm out of here now. So there they go. They've lost the first one, the Swahili idea. And there's actually a part in the chorus, in the text, where Jesus says, every moment of every day, every second of every day, you try to add something to the script. And he's talking about the ego. Every single second of the day, he's speaking to the ego, you try to add something to the script. This same script that is written, this same script is part of all things work together for good. This same script where there are no exceptions except in the ego's judgment, where everything is in perfect divine order and the simultaneous view of this world, but the ego is going to try to add a little pinch of autonomy, a little pinch of my way, a little pinch of, I think it'd be better if we had Swahili. And here's Waylon Jennings is like, wow, it's hot. It's been a long day. I'm in with this group of people. I love you all, man, but he's not. And here's the technicians on. Waylon's not going to be singing Swahili. And you could just see the looks on Bruce Springsteen, all of them, Cyndi Lauper, they were just like, what? And this is what you deal with in spiritual awakening. You have to realize that I know mind, that mind that's based on the past, that mind that has preferences, that mind that thinks it knows best, is going to try to add something to the script of this world. Instead of just pausing completely and saying, that's the lesson for today. I have invented the world I see. I'm stepping back here, and I'm going to let the Holy Spirit write the meaning on the world for me. All it takes is one instant where you step back and you say, Holy Spirit, it's yours. You know the way here, but I cannot continue to try to wreck this whole script. I cannot add to it. So here we go, where Lionel Richie's just said he's got to put out all the fires, he's got to make sure nothing derails, and then you saw the look on Lionel Richie's face when it was like Swahili, when he started singing Swahili, like, oh no. Now, that's Stevie Wonder. Who's going to tell Stevie Wonder? Who's going to tell Stevie Wonder at a song that's being made for Africa, for Ethiopia? Who's going to tell Stevie Wonder? Eric likes this, he likes, sometimes you're like, I think I know what I'm doing here. And it's like, wait a minute, who's going to tell? Who's going to tell Stevie Wonder? No. You see the people pleasing, how deep it goes? Who's going to be in that whole group of 47, 48? Now they're down. They lost Waylon. Who's left to tell him? Let's just wait and see how the Holy Spirit's going to pull this one out. So the Holy Spirit uses the music in the middle of the musicians to pull them out of it. Because they looked like they were going down there. They looked like they were going down. And then it's just this paying tribute. That's what Quincy was doing, paying gratitude to the man who had the original idea. Like, they need help. We need to do something. Paying gratitude to him, and then spontaneous song erupts. And you see them all totally in absolute joy just from that. But that's the whole point. That's why you can't know what's best. That's why Jesus says in lesson 24, in no situation do you perceive your own best interest. He doesn't say in some situations. He says in none, zero. In no situation do you perceive your own best interest. But when you don't perceive your own best interest and you're willing, then he tells you in lesson 25, everything is for your own best interest. In other words, everything that seems to occur is for your own best interest. God is for you. God is standing for the real you. The ego picks apart the situations and says, I don't like this, I don't like that, I prefer this, I prefer that. That's the ego that's trying to dissect the perfection of this moment and the simultaneity of this moment with no past and no future. It's just all right here, right now. And you can see the energy of it when they all start singing. So that was the first little hump that they had to get over, but there are many more, many more. You have these fine-tuned, the greatest musicians, the best ears, and there's Stephen Perry from Journey going, no, there's some extra noise, there's something going on there. So they could feel it intuitively, and then now they try to figure out what is going on before they finally, someone's intuitive enough to realize it's the jewelry that she's wearing. She's got so much jewelry on that it's making all this interference noise. So it just shows you, even when you're there, you have to have such patience, because they sensed something was off, but they didn't know what it was. And it took a combined effort to find out so they could move on and record this part and move on to the next one. Beautiful. So thank you all for participating in this heart-opening experience. Wow. It's been a joy to be with you, and thank you. Thank you for being here with us. It's been a joy.